When I opened Zoom, there were 2 people. I waited until there were 6. I delivered the masterclass as if I am facing a stage of 600. Fast forward to now, I have masterclasses with hundreds and thousands of signups. But this would not happen if I had not practiced in those tiny rooms first. You don't need a big audience to start. All you need is courage and speed. Fail fast and you'll grow faster than anyone else. Welcome to the Self-Made Pod, the go-to podcast for freelancers, entrepreneurs, and anyone who's ready to stop dreaming and start doing. I'm your host, Coach Darla, and today we are going to talk about something that you've probably been trying to avoid your whole life: failure. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to post something and get 0 likes. Nobody wants to launch an offer and just hear crickets. And nobody wants to admit that they tried and never made it. But let me start this episode with one big truth. If you're not failing, you're not even playing the game. In fact, if you're still trying to look for ways to avoid failure, you're probably playing too small. So if you're ready for the real unfiltered truth about failure, if you're tired of being paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes, this episode is for you. Let's go. Truth number 1. Failing is normal, especially when you are starting. Let's start with the most obvious truth that most of us forget. It's expected. It's built in. It's not a detour. It's a path. If you're doing something for the first time, whether it's building your first model or even starting your business, you will mess up. You should mess up. And I want to tell you a story I've never shared in full detail before. When I was starting out as a freelancer, I applied to a bunch of jobs online. Back then, I didn't have a lot on me. No skills yet, no portfolio, and no testimonials. Just hope and YouTube tutorials. And there's this one job. It's video editing. As part of the hiring process, they gave us a test project to submit within 24 hours. So what did I do? Of course, I pulled an all-nighter. I poured everything into that video. I spent the whole night editing, tweaking, refining, rereading their instructions, making sure it's perfect. I even skipped meals. I didn't even go outside. I literally gave everything. And right before the deadline, I successfully submitted it. I was proud. I was pumped. I even imagined myself getting hired on the spot. And guess what? I did get invited to the final interview. I showed up feeling so confident. I was smiling the whole time. And I even thought to myself, this is it. This is my first win. This is where my freelancing journey begins. But at the end of the call, the client was looking at me and said, Darla, you did great, but we are going with someone else. And I froze. I smiled and I thanked them. I closed the Zoom. And then I just stared at my screen. Tears were building, but I held them back. Just because I didn't want to admit how much it hurt. I didn't want to admit that rejection, especially when you gave your all, could be that heavy. But here's what hurt the most. It wasn't the rejection. It was I didn't apply again for 4 weeks because I started to believe in the lie. Maybe I am not good enough. But one day, I sat with my feelings and I asked myself, what did I expect? I had no experience. I had no skills. And I was competing with people who had years of practice. And I had been doing this for what? A few days? A few weeks? Yet, my expectations were sky high. No wonder I felt crushed. Because I didn't just fail. I wasn't ready to. That was a turning point. That's when I decided I need to stop waiting till I feel ready. I stopped trying to avoid failure. And I started to learn from it. Because I know that was the only way to grow. Truth number 2. You will always fail, but you have to fail differently. Let me tell you about my earliest failures even before I started freelancing. I used to run a necklace business. I was so excited about it. I bought supplies, created the packaging, took product photos, created the Facebook and Instagram page. I really believed it would work. I was sure that this was gonna be my side hustle success story. And when I finally launched it, it was on my birthday. Almost no one bought. I waited for the orders because it's my birthday. I posted every day after that day. I ran promos. I asked my friends to share it. But after all the effort, I only sold a handful. It hurt, honestly. I remember looking at the stocks and thinking, was I not good enough? Did I make the wrong decision again? But here's the thing I realized later on. I didn't actually validate the product. I didn't study the market. I didn't ask what kind of designs do people actually like. I just launched based on what I thought would sell, based on what I like. So, I failed, but I learned. When I tried again with my next project, this time I sold my very first course. And I did it differently. I asked people what they needed. I pre-sold to validate the interest. And I involved the audience early on. And because of that, I was able to see results that I never saw from my necklace business. So if ever you fail, make sure that you fail forward. Fail in a new way. Fail in a way that teaches you something. Because that's how you grow. Because the only real failure is repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Truth number 3, fail fast, learn faster. The faster you fail, the quicker you learn. And the person who collects the most mistakes the fastest, that's the person who builds momentum. One of my first masterclasses only had 6 people. I prepared for weeks. Slides, scripts, energy, makeup, all that. And when I opened Zoom, 3 minutes in, and there were 2 people, I waited until there were 6. And in my head, I was screaming, is this it? All these preparations for just 6 people? But I delivered the masterclass as if I am facing a stage of 600. Why? Because every rep matters. Every presentation that you make makes you better. Every slide you make, every sentence you write, you are building a skill. Fast forward to now, I have masterclasses with hundreds and thousands of signups. But this would not happen if I had not practiced in those tiny rooms first. You don't need a big audience to start. All you need is courage and speed. Launch the thing, run the challenge, post the content. Fail fast and you'll grow faster than anyone else. Truth number 4, failure is feedback, not your identity. This one hits deep. I want you to repeat after me. I am not my mistake. I am not my flop post. I am not my failed offer. And I am not that one hater comment. And I know that's kind of hard to believe, especially when you've put everything into something. Your time, your passion, your purpose. And then someone throws it back at your face. Now, let me tell you about one of the most painful moments in my journey. It happened in the early days of the Funnels Mastery Academy. We were gaining traction. More and more students were joining. I was pouring my soul into every lesson, showing up live, replying to messages even at midnight, and celebrating even the smallest wins from my students. I knew we were making an impact. I could feel it. And then one day, someone sent me a screenshot of an anonymous commenter floating around online. It said, "Nobody earns that kind of money from funnel design. She's just scamming people. Why would she share her secrets to freelancers? She is just selling the dream to desperate people." And I felt my stomach drop, like I was punched in the gut. I stared at that comment for hours. It wasn't just a random hater. It was someone trying to undermine everything that I had built. All the work, the blood, the late night tears, the breakthroughs of my students, all dismissed in just one sentence. That brought me back to every moment I doubted myself. The time that I left my corporate job and they said I was crazy, the nights I cried after being ghosted by a client, and the days when I felt like I was an imposter teaching students when I myself is still figuring things out. And then this, someone who didn't even have the courage to use their real name, trying to define who I was. And honestly, I remember asking myself, what if they're right? What if I'm just good at talking? What if all of this is just a fluke? And that night, I couldn't sleep. I was quiet, numb. I didn't tell anyone about it because I was so ashamed. And then around 3 a.m., I opened my phone and I read again some messages from my FMA students. A single mom who had just closed her client and earned 80,000 from being jobless for months. An employee who left her job and is now earning 6 figures online. And a student who said, "You saved my life. I was losing hope until I found your program." And that's when it hit me. One anonymous voice doesn't get to be louder than all the voices that I help. One comment doesn't get to rewrite my story. And that's exactly what I want to tell you. You are not your worst moment. You are not that comment. You are not your lowest launch, your lowest income month, your failed client. Those are just data points, not definitions. We think feedback is always about us, right? But it's just a way for us to improve things. And sometimes, a lot of feedback is more about that person who is giving it. Their insecurity, their disbelief, their jealousy, and their regret that they didn't get started when you did. It's easier to throw stones than climb the mountain themselves. And maybe they are not really mad at you. Maybe they are mad at themselves. So, if you've ever been called a tryhard, accused of just faking it, laughed at by just showing up online, and judged for charging high, aiming high, and showing up for your true self, remember this. You are not the version of you they've created in their minds. You are not their projection, and you are who wakes up, shows up, and keeps going despite all the doubts. And truth number 5, you can't fail if you don't quit. Here's the ultimate truth. Failure only becomes final if you stop. You can mess up, get rejected, miss the mark, but as long as you get up again, you are still in the game. I'll be honest, there was a point I looked at my PayPal account and it was 0. Bills were coming, my to-do list were never ending, my motivation, it was completely gone. And I told my partner, maybe I'm not meant for this. But then I asked myself again, why did I even get started in the first place? And I know the answer. To create a life of freedom, to never go back to asking permission to live my life, and to prove that younger version of me that I can actually build something grand and something meaningful. And those whys, they are louder than my fears. So I stayed. I showed up, especially in the times when I didn't feel like it. And look what's happened since. So remember, you only lose if you stop showing up. So let's wrap this up. You'd come into this episode thinking of learning how to avoid failure. But what I hope you learned is this. You cannot avoid failure, but you can master it. You fail fast, you fail differently, you fail forward, and never stop. You are not your mistakes, and you are the person who keeps on trying. And listen, you are not here to live someone else's version of success. You are not here to live everyone's expectation of you. And you are not here to play small just to make other people comfortable. You are here to become the version of you that you're gonna be so proud of. And that version, she will be judged. She will be misunderstood. She will make people uncomfortable. But she will break cycles, inspire others, and live a life that's fully hers. So if you're holding back, you're shrinking your voice, your offers, your dreams, just so people won't say anything bad about you, let this be the moment that you let it go. Because the truth is, people will talk anyway. Whether you win or lose, whether you try or stay stuck. So why not be judged doing the things that sets your soul on fire? Do anything you want and go all in for yourself. And just take that very first step. And if you've been wanting to build your first ever funnel, I have something special for you. I have the Build Your First Funnel Challenge where I walk you through step by step how you can create your first lead funnel, design it, automate it, connect the domain to it, and make it live in just one day. You get all of the tech guides, ChatGPT prompts, graphics, plus a lot of activities. You can sign up by clicking the link in the description and you get instant and lifetime access to the course. So go ahead, click that link and register into the Build Your First Funnel Challenge. If this episode helped you in any way, please subscribe so you never miss what's next. Now go out there, take action, and let's make it happen. This is the Self-Made Pod, and I'll catch you in the next episode.